Hey, it's Eric from Orderlytics, and one of the first things you need to do in your Orderlytics account for your Shopify store is to set up your fulfillment account and the credentials for your API key. So how you do that is when you're inside of Orderlytics, you'll come down into to your fulfillment account, and you'll see I got a couple listed down on the bottom, but we'll go ahead and show is that we'll create a new one, and we'll just go ahead and give it a name. We'll call it, let's say, Shopify test. Let's see, I call it test 2, and we'll do Shopify, and you'll see that it'll then request an API key and an API password, your shop URL, and then the fulfillment status. So how you get the API key and the API password is if you've got a Shopify store and you're going to be using the Orderlytics app in the Shopify store, what you need to do is go over to your store, go down to the app section. So you see that here, and then you'll see up here in the private apps section. You'll click on that, and you'll need to go ahead. If you haven't created one, you'll create a private app, and you'll just give it a generic name. I just called mine like API creds, and you'll just go ahead and hit create app. You'll give it a name, and then you'll go ahead and the key thing that you want to look at is the permissions, and right here on order transactions and fulfillments, you want to make sure that that is set to read and write, and then you hit save app, and then that will then come back and then it will give you the API key and the API password. So you use these two and you'll populate these into your store settings over on Orderlytics. So we'll come back over here and we'll drop in the API key and the API password. And then you'll enter in your shop URL. So it's very important that you enter in the shop URL exactly as with the HTTPS and with the / at the end. So just like we have it here. So it'll look just like this. So you've got to have the secure S at the end, and then it's got to have the backslash at the end. If you've got a custom domain or DNS forwarded to your own personal URL or domain name, you don't enter that here. You want to use your myshopify.com store address. So in this case, mine's orderlytics-test.myshopify.com / it's not my, it would not be my custom domain name that's assigned to my store. So then once you've set, what I typically do is, because I'm using drop shipping as a mechanism, I'll just go ahead and for fulfillment status, I'll just go ahead and leave this as fulfilled. So when an order comes in and it hits my backend store, it'll show as being paid and fulfilled, meaning that it's been ordered into the backend supplier. If you are, let's say, an Amazon FBA owner and you want to then have it set so it's unfulfilled, you could leave it as null. And that would mean that it would show up as unfulfilled in your store, and it just is a way for you to identify which orders you need to manually go back and fulfill. But typically for drop shipping, for Orderlytics, where we're automatically placing orders back into your suppliers, you don't need to worry about it so much. I would just go ahead and leave it as fulfilled, and then you go ahead and hit save. And then that then puts that down here in your list, and so it's active. And then you can always come back here and make these inactive or edit by changing the status or deleting them. So that's how you set up a store within Orderlytics, so that when you now want to create an association between Orderlytics and your app store, we know which store to process the products against. So when you upload a product, you'll see that store in your drop-down list.